into quarterback coaching, and he a kid threw one and it skipped off the ground, and he said, "Get the ball up," and he said it kind of went through his head. The kid already knows that.
Right.
How do we get the ball up? And he said that's when he really started to kind of get into his quarterback stuff that's developed into monumental success for him.
Absolutely.
And I know that's kind of what you're doing with the 365 track is trying to tell those kids like this is how we can run with better form.
Right.
These are the ways we can compete, but at the same time let's build you up as a person.
Absolutely. So it's kind of funny. This week, the whole message with all my athletes, all my students has been hit the delete button. So essentially, I show a kid, or I've been having kids press a delete button on my phone. I ask them, well, what's the delete button used for? Well, coach, if you make a mistake or, you spelled something wrong, you delete it. And I kind of challenge them, well, on a piece of paper, you don't use a delete button, you eraser. So I've been kind of asking kids, how often do you kind of talk negatively to yourself? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart. I'm not, so-and-so. And the kids kind of raise their hand. And I'm like, I've been there too, So been kind of challenging the students and athletes, delete those thoughts, man. I think as men, as boys, we're so good about, I'm good. We put this front on, and we don't address things we're going through. I just did I do some consulting work. Just spoke at UMKC on mental health, and like I said, it's one of those things. Sports, all that's good, but if you're not right up here, man, oh man, that's tough. It's only so long as a person you can kind of put that front on. So, just like I said, that's just telling kids to delete negative thoughts about themselves and delete the things in their life that are holding them back from being successful. Wrong situation, wrong friends. So, really and truly, like I said, I'm pouring into kids that like I so desperately wanted someone to pour into me.
Yeah. And I know the kids that I see that have interacted with you, that I've also interacted with. Everybody, they kind of get a smile on their face when you come around, and just the kids look excited on social media, and everything when you're showing all your mentees and
right.
all that. I know that's just an awesome feeling for you and an awesome feeling for those kids, that you do day in and day out. And so what do you do to kind of recharge yourself? Because, that's exhausting too, constantly pouring into other people. You've got to have your own time also.
So it's funny you say that. This is the first year not coaching football. And it's kind of weird. I get off work and put on my fingers. But, I think, honestly, if I'm being honest, I decided this year I was going to have some non-negotiables. Well, what does that look like? A non-negotiable for me is the first part of my day is just quiet time, getting my mind right. I don't take phone calls. I don't want to answer emails. And then also another non-negotiable for me is after work, between 3 and 5, I'm working out. I'm not taking meetings. That's time where I've got to kind of recharge myself. So I think sometimes as adults, as people, we need to have some non-negotiables. There's got to be time sketched out in your schedule where you're improving you, and it's okay. It doesn't make you selfish. It's good. You got to invest in you. So that's what I've been kind of challenging myself as well this year. And then when I get home, I'm not checking my email as well. So just kind of challenge myself to have some non-negotiables.
Yeah,
that's interesting. No, I was just thinking that sounds great.
Yeah. I know it's tough for me. That's something I personally struggle with. Is typically once I get home from practice, now being a varsity assistant again, I'm doing film, which is part of the deal, and
Absolutely.
I'm not complaining by any means because I love that part of it, doing my film, and then even after I put corrections and notes and things on the film and send it to the kids, it's still, there's always that thought in your head, like, hey, what if we did this differently, or what if we did this? It's always
Absolutely.
there. My wife sometimes says, like, you're here, but you're not here.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. Those that are not coaches sometimes don't get that. Or you're thinking like, hey, this kid was off today,
right.
So I wonder what's up. Like, that's where my mind goes now when I see a kid off versus 10 years ago. If a kid was off, I'm probably just kind of ripping them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'm like, why aren't you here? Why aren't you? Well,
Yeah.
At the same time, they're a 14 to 18-year-old kid.
They're kids. They're kids.
And so, they have their girlfriend might have broke up with them right after school.
That's a real thing, man.
And as much as football coaches, we don't want to admit it. like that can affect how they practice.
Absolutely.
As much as we want to say, block that out. You're 15 years old. You'll get another girlfriend, whatever. It's hard for a 15-year-old kid to see that.
I'm going to be honest. If you're, I don't know, a minor, go ahead and plug yours right quick. But I can remember years ago when I first started my track club. In Wichita. It was called Wichita Elite Track Club. I was teaching PE out there. And I had the top-ranked 100-meter girl at 9 years old. This girl was a stud. She ran a 13.6. Oh. And so at that time, one of the regional meets was at Manhattan, K-State's old track facility. And, I mean, she just had a horrible race. Okay, remind me, I was a young coach, still learning, so don't judge me out there. Long story short, she runs this race. I rip her a new one. She stand-ups and walks away. Unfortunately, the young lady just had her first menstrual cycle, period, something. And, so you're right. I think a lot of times, things are affecting kids, and it may seem trivial to us, but to them, it's their real life and whatnot. So if you're a track coach out there and one of your girls runs a bad race, cut her some slack, please.
Yeah. I coached girls basketball for a couple years, and the first year that I coached girls basketball, I mean, I'm coming off, as a defensive coordinator for middle school. I've been coaching maybe 5 years at this point, and it's, I don't know, the first week of practice. So I'm going in there. I'm going to be this, hard guy, and I'm going to be hard on these girls and all this. And I mean, I remember I yelled at a girl. This was after I made cuts, and I yelled something at a girl about, well, maybe I should have cut you and kept so-and-so. And, she just starts crying.
Man,
and
Coach.
I always think about that and feel bad now because I'm like, man, that was the total wrong way to go about that. But luckily, she was a really tough girl and rebounded, and, we ended up winning, first 5 or 6 games or something. She just played lights out, but I totally handled that wrong. It's
funny. I think we talked about it earlier. Mistakes are a part of life, man. If you're not making mistakes, you're not living. And if everybody likes you, you're not living. So I think it's important to really blow it, man. I encourage kids, blow it big. Because then the room for growth is even that much bigger. So, I love the fact that as humans, as people, as coaches, athletes, no one's exempt to difficult times and tough moments, and just owning them. Hey, you know what? That was wrong, whatnot. But I love it. I mean, I think if you're not making mistakes, you're not living. So blow it big and learn and grow.
Hey, think about Coach Belichick. Coach Belichick, Cleveland Browns, fired, right?
Yeah,
fired, and now he's the greatest coach of all time. A lot of guys like a Jeff Bezos, Amazon, or Bill Gates, or whoever, or even Apple. Apple was for years, 25 years or whatever it was losing money. And all of a sudden, Apple's one of the most profitable companies. So it's making mistakes is part of it. Now it's what you do with the mistakes is what counts, right?
Ooh, that's good.
So grab the mistake, you take a look at it. What can I do differently or whatever? So, man, this is all good stuff we're talking about here. But mistakes are a huge part.
Big time.
Failures are a huge part of what makes people successful.
Yeah. So how do you implement that to your athletes, students?
I think we live in a day and age where you talk about social media about you see the pictures of me or the kids are happy. It's funny. I think nobody ever puts the mistakes on social media. The times you blown it or came home or you're whatever it is. I think we live in days where you get the perfect person all the time. So I tell kids that I share my mistake with kids. I'm gonna be honest. One of my talks a few weeks ago was about controlling the things that come out of your mouth. There's been times where I've come home and kind of snapped on my wife, and it's wrong. It's not okay. It's okay to feel those emotions, but it's not okay to unleash. So the kids that I work with, the people I work with, know that I'm going to share my struggles. And I think when you do that, you become real. Like I said, I think a lot of us try to paint this perfect picture of life or who we are, and there's no way. Nobody's perfect, So I really kind of pride myself on using my failures as examples to really kind of soften that blow with other people as well.
We're
Okay.
good.
It's interesting because that you say that because some guys that I've worked with as coaches, they won't admit when they made that mistake or I didn't make a bad call. They just didn't execute. I mean, we all know there's times where we've messed up.
Absolutely.
I guess the older I get, the more that I learn as a coach and I'm around kids. I'm just like, you know what? Who cares if I messed up? They know that in the moment I'm going to do what I think is best for this group that I'm coaching right now.
Yeah,
I mean, good. You've seen me a little bit on the sidelines. Last Saturday in the JV game, it was a terrible call, one of the worst I've ever seen. And, we got a sideline warning because I was giving the referee a piece of my mind.
That's all right, Coach.
And after the game, I told the kids, I said, I was proud of them for competing, number one, because they kept competing even after the bad call. And number two, I said, I as a coach have to keep better composure. I can't lose it like that, even as mad as I am in that situation. But know that I'm fighting for you guys right now.
That's good. So I know you're a dad, and I was listening.
Yeah.
Kids are sponges, and I think as parents, as coaches, but I think even more as parents, like, be transparent. Let your kids see you make a mistake. Let your athletes see you make a mistake, and then how you deal with it or own it. So I think it's good that I think we live in a day and age where everything's got to be taboo. Like, no, like, blow it in front of people, and then let them see how you own it or how you respond to that, and then just move forward. It's what you call a teachable moment. So
yeah, and I did. When I told my daughters when I saw them after the game, because they got there soon after the game was over, and they were like, I told them, I was like, hey, Dad almost got in trouble today. And they're like, what? They were just shocked because I'm like, no, I did. I lost it,
Well, and our kids are sounding more our own kids after a tough loss or a great win. They kind of act like, that's our source for, okay, I need, that extra hug you get from your little kid or whatever, that just means so much when you're coaching or if you have a tough day at work, right?
Yeah,
mm-hmm. It's good. Because as we were cleaning up the field and I kind of saw my daughters running across the thing there, it just put everything in perspective.
Absolutely. That word perspective is big. The older I get and the more gray hair I get, it's perspective. What matters most? What matters most? And that family, those are the things that matter most. Like I said, wins are great and championships are great, but perspective, what matters most in life. So,
and I just hope, as a father, I hope my daughters, I know right now they don't understand everything, but I hope they understand, 10 years, 15 years down the road, Dad was really pouring into to help these kids and do this for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
So where can people find your 365 Track Club information?
Absolutely. So we're into our third session, November session. We start this Saturday again, 11 a.m. at Shawnee Mission East. If you're interested, you can just kind of Google us. We're on 365trackclub.com. We're on 365 Track Club on Instagram and Twitter. And if you're a kid out there, an athlete out there, or a parent out there that wants someone who's going to invest in their kid outside of practices, is going to provide mentorship and really, essentially, holistic training, we are the club for you. But don't get it twisted out there. We also win championships, and winning's important to us. I don't want anybody that I'm associated with to be comfortable losing. Losing's okay, but it's not okay. So
you got to compete, right?
You got to compete, man, in life.
Yeah. Just do your best.
Yeah.
So. And what's your Twitter handle?
So I've got two Twitter handles. I got my Twitter handle from my school district is Coach Dre SSL, and that's at Twitter. And then our track club one is at Mr. 365 Dre. So follow me and stay tuned.
Yeah, and we'll tweet those out tonight and tag you in the show. Absolutely. And tag on Facebook. The 365 Track Club. I follow them and. It's always a good follow. There's some of the posts are just very encouraging. They don't have anything to do with track necessarily, but just kind of sometimes as I'm scrolling through and there's so much negative stuff on social media.
Tell me about it.
I just I run across one of those posts and I'm like, oh man, all right, here we go. Right. It kind of gets me going.
How much time we got left?
Probably about 2 minutes.
Okay, so it's funny. I feel like
1 minute.
I want to leave real quick. I know we're running out of time, but I just feel like on my spirit tonight, there's someone that's listening to this podcast tonight. There's someone out there in social media land that's hearing our voices. And I want to encourage you, man. Something much needed is coming your way. Somebody out there needs something, whether it's an answered prayer, whether it's a job or some type of something out there. So I want you to know right now, if you're listening to my voice, that hold tight. It's coming. Victory is yours. You are destined for greatness, and don't believe the lies. You are more than a conqueror, and people love and care about you. So just hold tight and know that victory is yours. So Just throw that out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm feeling good now.
I'm ready to go.
Hey, come on,
Right.
run to that wall.
Something that's coming for us.
Hey, so Dre, thanks again for coming in and talking to us for a few minutes, man.